Hello everyone. Are you a lazy hobbyist like me? Are your old firstborn Marines not measuring up in this new scale creep and Primaris world? Do you want to add height to your Wargaming miniatures the fast, cheap, and easy way? Then this might be the right video for you. Now if you're anything like me, you won't want to be chopping up your miniatures like so, drilling in some pilot holes, measuring up the parts, finding your paperclip, pulling it open and pinning all the parts together, finding the right position that you want them to be in, and then finally breaking out your green stuff to resculpt the joints. Yeah, I don't want to do that either. Let's go ahead and toss that green stuff and milliput out of the way and grab some easier tools to work with. First we're going to need some super glue, some wire cutters, our pin vise, and the real star of this show is this self-adhesive strip of cork. Now this will last you for several armies worth of basing material. It does have a self-adhesive on the bottom, but I don't suggest using that. We're going to go ahead and super glue it down for better adhesion. And as I said, there's a ton of this for cheap. I found this at my local Hobby Lobby for $3.99, I believe. I'll throw links down in the description below. And a pair of scissors, let's not forget that. Next, let's find a miniature to unceremoniously tear off its base. Now we cut off our piece of cork so that we can start working with it. We can go ahead and just stick the cork directly onto the base with the self-adhesive on the bottom, but I don't personally suggest doing that. You won't have that strong of a bond, so you can go ahead and get some super glue and glue it down, and then you can use your hobby knife to either cut a circle around the base so you have a nice flat surface to work with. Here we can stick the base to the cork and go ahead and get our knife and cut a circle around the base, as I said. And this is a perfect example for creating terrain like an abandoned road or something like that, but again I would suggest gluing down the cork to the base with super glue. So we're going to go ahead and remove that and get that started. But I'm not going to be creating road today. What I'm going to do is break apart the cork and as random bits as I can to make it very irregular, to go ahead and try to simulate natural rock maybe. And then we're going to go ahead and glue that down to the base. Now we have our base ready for our miniature to be mounted on. So we want to go ahead and test fit, see where we want it, see where the feet are fitting well on the cork. And once we have a spot ready, we can go ahead and get ready to put that down. So into one of his feet, I'll go ahead and make a little bit of a pilot hole for our pin vise. And with that, I'll go ahead and drill a hole in the foot. Once we have that hole drilled in the foot and ready to be pinned, we'll go ahead and get our paper clip ready. I use the wire cutters to hold the paper clip and apply a generous amount of super glue to it so that it has a strong bond inside of the plastic. And once we have enough super glue globbed on, we'll go ahead and insert the pin into the foot. And we'll leave it like that. Make sure it's fit well, and we'll leave it to dry for at least 30 minutes. And we're back from letting the pin dry in the foot. Here we can use this pin to mount it to another larger piece of cork to go ahead and paint the base and the miniature separately, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and mount the miniature directly to the base. So the first thing I do is use that pin to mark a hole in the cork on the base. Once I've done that, I can use that as a pilot hole for my pin vise to very carefully drill a hole into the base for the pin to go through. Now, I say very carefully because I've stabbed right through bases before and right into my fingers with my pin vise in this process. So you're going to want to do this extremely carefully and very slowly so that the bit doesn't go right through like it just did and into your finger. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and stick the miniature on, and you have that one foot securely in place, and then you can rotate it a little bit to set it to the area that you'd like, and then we can cut off the excess pin there so that the miniature is able to stand on its base without this obstructing it. So we go ahead and cut that off, and then we can fit it back on the base. Make sure that we haven't cut off too little. Make sure that that goes through and isn't obstructing the base, as I said. Once you're happy with that, you can go ahead and get your super glue. And we're going to go ahead and just glob on super glue again all over that foot and that pin that we have sticking out. And then it's always a safe bet to just add another drop on the other foot. Just to fix your miniature to the base. And let it dry once again. Here we can look at a side-by-side comparison of our Chaos Marine mounted on Cork next to the Blackstone Fortress Chaos Lord. He is looking a little taller and fitting in a bit more, as well as next to a standard Firstborn Marine. He's much taller than the Firstborn Marine already, which is giving us the height that we wanted, and then a comparison with a Primaris Marine. So he's not looking as out of place and as tiny as the rest. Side by side with the Primaris, about the same height. And here's another Marine that I have done. I haven't glued down to the base yet for painting. It's a redone Assault Terminator that I've added some height to with Cork as well, as another example. And I feel as though these came out pretty well. They look nice, and I didn't have to chop them all up to get them at a bigger scale, or making them a bit taller so that they fit in with the rest of the Primaris line. As you can see here, they're no longer so squatty and so short, which is great because the new Primaris sculpts are beautiful, and I would love to have the rest of my army stack up to them a bit better. And then of course, using this cork, you can go ahead and base the rest of your army very similarly. Sprinkle on some flock or whatever it is that you base the rest of your army so that they all tie together. And you can see the cork adds a bit of the same height as the tactical rocks that the Primaris Marines have. So there you have it. Very simple and easy way to add height to your firstborn Marines so that they're not so tiny in this Primaris world. And of course you can use this method to add height to any miniatures for any war games. This is just a prime example that I'm using them for. And then again, just flocking and basing the rest of your army to match, and they all look great. And then the rest of the Cork you can go ahead and save for another miniature. That's the real star of the show in this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe.